Welcome to Picks with the Professor, the show where a real statistics professor gives you sports betting tips. This is college basketball, Tuesday, March 5th. Jake, we have made it to conference tournament season. We had two of those games tonight here on Monday. We've got more coming Tuesday, and then there's just more every day at this point. It's your favorite time of the year. I know that much.
Yeah, I absolutely love this time. What was the old Disney Wild World of Sports? The thrill of victory and agony of defeat is just incredible to just watch. I mean, not that I want people to be heartbroken, but
I was going to say the sad thing is in the next 2 weeks, we're going to have approximately like 250-ish teams crushed. We're having way more teams crushed than except, of course, many of them will have known at this point that it was just inevitable that the probability of them winning their conference tournament and moving on was very small for many a team. But it is a fun time. We try to focus on the joys rather than the sad parts of this. It's because of that we are doing another extended cut of this episode. So if you're with us over on Dub Club, you can get that as well. And I typoed there on the slide more picks in the play of the day on Dub Club. You get Discord access as well. The D words apparently confuse my brain. Blame the infant that's still in our house, of course. But Dub Club there.
He's not grown up.
He's not grown up yet. We will have an extended cut, Jake, where you will be giving out some more conference tournament picks. These went really well for us last year. We already had one that you gave out for the Atlantic Sun. We'll have more here coming on the extended cuts. For this on Dub Club, you will have that link, and make sure you're watching that version of the show. And if you're not with us in Dub Club, again, that sign up link in the show description can get you there with a bunch of other goodies. Our recap from last week, we talked about this in the last week, A grade sides for specifically the B grade sides that are the wrong team favored games. And I believe Cousin Jared pointed it out that's not really a drastic change. Those were often the plays that we were doing for play of the day anyway. We liked those picks. They were some of our strongest ones anyway. So we said, why don't you just make those designated as the A grade? And sure enough, so far last week, I believe we just did it for 1 or 2 days. They've come through so far with a 5-2 record for us. And of course, all of those are at basically plus odds. So even 500 would be great. For those picks. The free show picks went well last week. Play of the day down last week, but still a 10% ROI on the course of the season with over 200 picks. So a very strong showing for us yet again on the play of the day. Again, you can get that over on Dub Club if you're not yet. I don't know what you're waiting for. There's still money to be made each and every day going forward here on that. Otherwise, though, Jake, we will get right to it with Purdue and Illinois. Jake, we've talked a lot lately. I made the comment multiple times. I just feel like a broken record at this point. We're kind of just playing some of the greatest hits. Y'all know where we're going with this, the over. Now, here's what I want to talk about on this. Now, if you're new, I'll give you the 30-second recap if you're new with us. College basketball this season with the rule change, the top offenses are better than ever before. They're better than the top defenses. Part of it's the rule change. Part of it's the COVID senior. Part of it's NIL, guys sticking around the game, becoming a little bit more skilled. Rather than just the hodgepodge of the one and done, that lends to the top offenses scoring more. The books have not caught up all season long. I don't know why they haven't caught up. They don't care. We care. We make money off of it. Purdue's been a team that's been over great for us all season. Illinois, look at that, number 6 on offense. As you can see on screen if you're with us on YouTube, 2 top 10 offenses. Purdue kind of plays whatever pace you want to play. Illinois wants to speed it up. This game is all the recipe for a really high-scoring game. The thing I want to talk about, that's the Reader's Digest version. If you've been with us, you've heard us say that 100 times this season, and you made a lot of money backing that advice. Here's what I want to talk about with this one. B- grade at over 164. Why is that? This number's pretty high already. I like this pick. It's not my favorite because of the fact that this game could land 162. That's still pretty high scoring, and we've lost. That doesn't mean I don't like the over. It just means that I'm putting a little bit less on this one than other games, than the other two that we're talking about on this show, specifically because the value, the long-term value, isn't quite as strong as this. Doesn't mean you shouldn't play it. It just means the value is not quite as strong. Models is an average of 168. This has got a really good chance to be in the 160s or the 170s. That makes it a great play. It's just we're paying a little bit of a tax. That's why it's got that B- grade. That's why we're seeing just a little bit less, not a lot less, just a little bit less on it, because we have to acknowledge we're being taxed. That said, the books still have not reacted the way they should, in my opinion, and in the model's opinion for these two teams and how many points they should score. Jake, tell us more.
Look, this is an absolutely fantastic matchup, right? You've got Illinois team that can go smaller and have a guy out there like Coleman Hawkins, who's going to look tiny out there at 6'10" with Zach Edey on the floor, but that's going to move 15, 17, 25 feet and be comfortable, makes a lot of decisions. They actually run a ton of that offense through them. And then you've got Terrence Shannon and Marcus Domask, who are rather taller guards. They're both 6'6". Either one of them can take over a game at any point, shoot from anywhere. That is going to be a very tough matchup on Purdue to match with them and stay with them because Hawkins can make Edey move around. That first matchup got to 161, and that was with a terrible, terrible opening first half of the first half for Illinois. After that, it was relatively close. I don't think we see that opening again. I mean, we all know what Purdue is. You got Zach Edey, who's near unstoppable, and the Big Ten refs are not afraid to blow the whistle with him around and put him at the free throw line. Even though he's having a rough year shooting the free throws, it doesn't matter when you shoot that many. Smith is incredible. Lance Jones and Foster Lawyer, if they're going, this offense is unbelievably good. I don't see a way this doesn't end up with both teams around 80, if not well above it.
These two teams have gone over in all four matchups that have been played since the 2021-2022 season. Including that one that you mentioned earlier in the season, which got into the low 160s. The number's been adjusted up, and that's the thing is, had they adjusted the number up a little bit, I'm almost certain we had an A-grade play on that over back then. I don't know why we wouldn't have, given our MO and how we've been playing so many. There's been a handful of these teams who've just kind of playing so many of their overs. Had this number gotten adjusted up a little bit, we'd still have an A-grade play, but they've adjusted it up a decent bit, and that's why it's, again, only the B- grade. Still think it's worth it, partially because sometimes when you start talking about adjusting these numbers, we talk about the books just not being able to do it fast enough. That's evidenced by the fact that these two teams are combined 41-17 to the over. That is insane. And we keep seeing this over and over with the same set of teams. And it's not just like we're looking back and we're like, oh, now we're going to play this. Y'all have been with us. Y'all know we've been playing the same set of teams that have been doing this all season. It's the Alabamas, the Kentuckys, the Purdues of the world, right? There's several many of them, and it's been going great for us. So again, over on this one, like the over. If you can get lower 160s, now you're talking about a little bit more exciting. If you can get 160, that would be A-grade value right there. Even 161, probably A-grade value. 164, we still like it. Going over, but only a B- grade. But as always, make sure you shop around. If you can get that extra half point, that extra 1 point, you never know when it's going to matter. It's not going to matter 95 times out of 100, but those other 5 times that it matters, that you can turn a loss to a win, or even a loss to a push, or a push to a win, can really make the difference in keeping your bankroll growing rather than draining. That's what we're all about here, trying to make sure that you're not having to reload into those sportsbooks account. One of the ways you can do that is by diversifying your money. BetUS is a great book to check out. They've got great prices, great odds, a lot of things going right now, including 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. If you haven't yet, check them out. Link in the show description.
BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook and casino. Live betting and racebook. We're celebrating 30 years with a historic offer. A 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Plus 10% gambler's insurance. Get started today. BetUS, where the game begins.
One of those teams we've long talked about here going over, Alabama and Florida, except we're not going over in this one. We will talk about the total, though, shortly. But we're going to first start off with A-grade play on Alabama. This is one of those we talked about previously. Wrong team favored games. Alabama even money makes Florida a slight favorite. Sideline says that even on the road, Alabama should be favored by a price about -150. So we're getting some great value on this. They win about 60% of the time. They're one of the better teams in the country. Jake, where Alabama has struggled, this is short and sweet, my opinion. Where Alabama has struggled is they've struggled when they've played the top teams. They've done great against everybody else. The question you have to ask yourself, is Florida a top team? I don't think they are. I think the Florida team is good, not great. That's the type of team that Alabama can handle, even on the road. This is a good matchup for them because everything that Florida wants to do, in my opinion, Alabama just does better or more extreme. I think this plays in Alabama's hands. You're talking about Alabama playing a team like Tennessee, like we saw on Saturday. Many of those losses they've had have been against the top competition. That's why the model has them still ranked number 7, because all the losses they've had are pretty excusable. But they're all against those really good teams. And that's where they've struggled. Like, when they drop down in class, they do really well. I think Florida should drop down in class. If you disagree with that, then you disagree with this pick. That's totally fine. We don't all have to agree on everything. But I think Alabama's style being so similar matched up well for them. They go on the road. I think they can get the win. I think they get the win more times than not. That they win about 6 out of 10 times. That's what makes even money so appealing to us. Jake, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have a hard time seeing Alabama have 2 rough shooting nights or games back to back. And that's what it took for Florida to take them to overtime in the first game. I know that was in Tuscaloosa, but Alabama shot terribly. Florida didn't shoot much better, but their offense is a little bit more sustainable on a bad 3-point shooting night than the way Alabama's is designed. I mean, you saw what they could do against Tennessee there at the end of that first half when they went on that 12-0 run. When they're going, they're very, very tough to stop for the best defense, one of the best defenses out there. And Florida is not that. They've been giving up points like crazy. I mean, they just gave up 82 to South Carolina, who has trouble scoring above 60 most nights. 70 plus to Missouri. 93 to Alabama the first time, or 98 to Alabama the first time, 88 to, or above 80 to Georgia and LSU. Their defense just isn't there. They're going to want to play at Alabama's pace, and that's not good because Alabama, like you said, Alabama does everything they want to do just a bit better. The offensive glass is the thing we have to worry about the most, but the free throw line, not too worried about that because Florida is rough shooting the free throws. If Alabama gets the line, they're typically making it 79% of the time right now. We just got to keep Florida off the offensive glass, keeping the one shot, and I think Alabama will win this fairly easy.
I don't know how your game planning for Alabama in Tuscaloosa. I'm not saying obviously they can't be beat there. I just don't know what the game plan is. It eludes me. When you get Alabama coming to you, the game plan, the way you draw this up is to say they struggle shooting the ball on the road. You minimize the possessions. You take them out of their tempo. Maybe you don't necessarily grind. You don't have to play Virginia style, right? But you just don't let them play at the pace that they want to play at. And when you look at Florida, it's like that's just not going to be their matchup. They want to run and gun. And it's like, I mean, maybe you can win a shootout with Alabama. Obviously, teams have done it before. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's just that doesn't seem like the way to get it done. You know, you want to frustrate them somehow, and giving them more chances. That's the whole point of it. You know, if you're hoping the team comes in and struggles to shoot the ball, giving them more chances to right that ship doesn't really add up. But that's what Florida wants to do. They want to go fast, and Alabama just wants to even go faster. So should be a lot of tempo. We like Alabama here at this price. I wouldn't love the price at minus 140, right? But at even money, this is a fantastic get, which takes us to our sneak peek slide of what you can get on Dub Club. And I was like, on the top side, you get the whole table. So I decided to add a second game, and there's a freebie game for you. Robert Morris and Purdue Fort Wayne. I know everyone's dying to know about that game. There's your metrics for that, people. On screen, you can see what everybody else is seeing, all the projections, all the prices, just to see. You get the whole dang table. I only just gave you 2 there. But as you can see, the model here projecting, you pause if you want to soak all this in or just listen to us kind of break this down a little bit. But the model's projecting an average score about 92 to 88. It's about 180 points. The total for this game is set right around 177. Right now, we would lean over. We don't love the over, namely because that number is so insanely high. And while we think on average it gets out there, you still got to have everything go right to get into the 180s. That's such a high number. That's kind of my take on it. To me, it's over or pass. I'm curious what your take is on this total, Jake, knowing that these two teams want to get up and down, knowing they're great on offense, knowing they're terrible on defense, but also knowing, I mean, they're daring you to go over. Are you taking the bet? Are you going over with this one? Would you lean over? Would you look over? Or are you just saying, you know what, in the upper 170s, I'm just not sure it's worth my time and money?
I'm just on a lean on the over. I mean, typically my attitude is in the upper 170s is under or pass, but with these two
Yeah.
teams, I'm nervous because Alabama can put up 100 on any given night, and so can Florida. So I get very, very nervous trying to play a total over because what happens when we have a bad shooting night and on either side, and then you don't like you have to have everything go right. But I am leaning towards the over in this one.
Yeah, I'd lean over. It's hard for me to really recommend that and pull the trigger on. You can see, of course, on screen there, number 10 in the country in pace, number 26 in pace. Two really good offenses, and two defenses aren't bad. They're just not good for the Power 5, Power 6, whatever standards we want to talk about here, just relative to their peers. But gosh, that number is so high. It's just 1 4-minute media timeout to media timeout stretch. And then all of a sudden you're gonna be like, well, now we're rooting for overtime, right? But on the other hand, this game has the upside potential to get to 200. And so it's one of those that's going to be really fascinating to watch. I'm personally not investing any of my money. I'm sticking just to Alabama. But if you want to see all the insights, all the A-grade plays, all the plays of the day, Dub Club is the place to be. There's the QR code on screen. Get you $5 off your first month with the promo code there on screen, or just click the link to show description. Automatically apply it. All sorts of benefits over there on Dub Club, which will wrap us up with another A grade on Auburn and Missouri. We're going to go over 148.5. A- grade just ekes in at this number. Model projects mid 150s, so we get winners in all the 150s, and we get a winner at 149 just for funsies there. Missouri, in general, a little bit of a slower team, but I don't know. I feel like they've just kind of thrown caution to the wind here as of late and just don't seem to care. Maybe that shows up in their terrible defensive rating. I'm not really sure, but Auburn has no problems getting up and down the court. They should score as many points as they want on Missouri. Missouri's not good, but they're better on offense than defense. So, I mean, they have that going for them. 148.5 is not that many more points than the average college basketball game, but the average pace here should lean higher, and the offenses are better than the defenses. I'm not really sure why this number isn't in the 150s. Jake, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, the only reason it's not in the 150s is Auburn's defense everybody's in love with. I don't think it's that great. I think it's very good defense, but it's not world ending. And Missouri likes to hang around in these games. I mean, if you look at all their SEC games, you've got a lot of really close ones that got an overtime loss at South Carolina. Most of them are within that 10 to 15 point range. So tell me you don't see 85, 70 or 80-70 here. Like, I think it's way too easy to get there. Missouri makes almost all their free throws. Is the one thing they do very well on their offense. At home, they're going to get a little bit more calls. They typically shoot better. They kind of play to the level of their competition, and it's not worked out for them because that's a very dangerous game to play, especially in the SEC with the top end being so good there. I mean, just last week or a couple weeks ago, that Tennessee game, they hung right around there with Tennessee, scored a ton of points of that, 84 on that defense. Their offense can really get going. And Auburn's offense can absolutely hang crooked numbers up there. They've also disappeared a couple times, but Missouri's not got that defense. I think there's no answer for Broome. And I love Jalen Williams. He's one of my favorite players to watch play, but Missouri's got nothing for Broome. He's going to be able to dominate this game, and I think this goes way over.
Yeah, and I would say there's really just two follow-up points from that. Is number one, and you mentioned Auburn's defense, right? It gets a lot of love, at least according to the model, and that's why we have a model. And I'm not saying my model is perfect. All models are wrong. Some models are useful, right? And so we talk about how Sideline's helping us make money, and it being a useful model doesn't mean it's perfect, doesn't mean it's right on everything, because it's not. But the idea here is that while the model says Auburn has a good defense, says their offense is just as good, that there's really no reason to say that their defense is that much better than their offense. And related to that, we've talked about it earlier in the show, right? That the top offenses are just better than the top defenses in college basketball in today's game, just like in the NBA. And that's the game's more like the NBA for better or worse. It just is what it is, which is more of an offensive-driven league. And maybe that'll change in 10, 20 years. It'll cycle back around. But for now, it's an offensive-driven league, and that's kind of what we have in college basketball. The top teams are more like that, offensive-driven, and that's Auburn. any pick can go wrong in any number of ways, right? We always kind of talk about that. Obviously, the way this goes awry is Auburn on the road struggles to shoot the ball, and you know that kind of can kill things a little bit. But that's not overly likely to be the case because Missouri's defense is so porous. Auburn should be getting good looks, and that'll help. And then on top of that, the other way this goes under is that Missouri's defense outplays their offense, and you could just see on screen by those ratings. That's not impossible. That's not where I want my chips, right? I will take my chances that while Auburn is really good, that Missouri's still going to have more success on offense than defense. Not that they'll have a ton of success. They should lose this game, but they should do better on offense than defense because their offense is much better than their defense. And so everything just kind of points to a higher scoring game. You kind of mentioned some scores there, and the models kind of putting it right in that same ballpark, low 80s to low 70s. And that gets you into the 150s.
Yeah, like Auburn's offense and defense, when they score less than 80, it's not been totally great for them. That 5 of their 7 losses scored less than 80, and only I think 4, maybe 5 of their wins they scored less than 80. So they really wanted to get to around the 80 mark, and that was really going to help this 150 because. I mean, Missouri can hang around well enough to put this over, like get to 70 if they don't. I mean, they could stand a good chance of also giving up 90, and we don't even need 70 out of them.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, that's all we've got then for the free picks. Again, hang around if you're with us on Dub Club for the extended cut. We're going to talk some conference tournaments. Otherwise, though, before we hit the outro music, Jake, parting words for the viewer.
Yeah, look, I cannot wait to start making brackets. I've already just been toying with it myself, just seeing how close I can get to putting the teams in the right area. So that's just a fun project for me, and I cannot wait to see how right I am.
You know, people ask me all the time about the brackets, and I'm just so focused on who's playing today, who's playing tomorrow. I honestly don't think if you ask me right now to pick 68 teams, I don't think I'd get half of them right because I just do not know who's got the resume. Because I'm just focused on, hey, who's playing today? How can we make money today, right? And the whole big picture thing is eluding me. So it's kind of the ups and downs and the drawbacks. Sometimes, I sometimes maybe could do a little bit better viewing the big picture. But a lot of bubbles will be burst these next couple of weeks. It'll be a lot of fun. We will do some of these extended cuts with more March Madness things as well. So a lot of reasons to be over on Dub Club here. We'll do extended cuts for all the baseball stuff as well. So we'll talk about a bunch of those games. So a bunch of reasons to be on Dub Club. Sign up, link in the show description. Again, if you're with us there, we will see you on the other side of the music.